It's something no American sport has, and that is relegation. And what a relegation battle we have on our hands with U.S. men's national team implications. So jump in, join the conversation as we talk relegation and a few broken records on this week's episode of the SlabStox FC Show. What's going on, everyone? I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards on Instagram. Welcome into another exciting episode of the SlabStox FC Show. Cannot wait for our discussion today about relegation. It's May, and may the 4th be with you. Okay, I know, probably should stick to soccer, not Star Wars references here today, but it is such an important battle going on at the bottom of the Premier League table. I love relegation for the impact it has on games that, in the U.S., in America, don't seem to matter at the end of the season. It's always the talk of who's going to get the better draft pick. Here, it's who's going to stay in the Premier League, and there are some very, very well-known names at the bottom of the table that we got to talk about. I mean, we have teams that have been in the Premier League for over a decade. West Ham, Southampton, I believe, came in together, promoted in about 2012. So they've been around for quite a while. Everton is the one that sticks out to me the most. I think they were promoted to the Premier League back in 1954. So they have been a staple in not the Premier League, it'd be the first division at that time, but they've been in top flight football in England for almost 70 years. You've got teams like Leicester City, who won the league just a few years ago. That magical run that won them the league with the likes of Jamie Vardy and Mahrez, and you had, I think, Ben Chilwell was on that team, and Schmeichel, and just some great names and a great story. Cinderella story that and here they are just a few years later in a relegation battle, and then you've got two clubs that have historic pasts in Leeds United and Nottingham Forest. And the one that really sticks out to me is Leeds United as we look at the U.S. men's national team implications. Now, we'll talk about Weston McKennie for a second, but if you're watching on the screen, on YouTube, you can see underlined in red are the last 4 games of teams that are in the relegation battle, and the ones underlined in red are games against teams in the top 4. So I wanted to look and say, okay, of the list of players, who has the best chance at survival to stay in the Premier League, to avoid the drop? And at first look, I think Wolves and Leeds United have the biggest hill to climb. Now, Leeds might just have the toughest option or the toughest games to stay safe. And that's a concern for me because of the Weston McKennie, the Brenden Aaronson, and the Tyler Adams. They got to play away at Man City. With the way Man City's playing right now, I don't think any team wants to play them. And they also have a home game against Newcastle, also a team in great, great form right now. The Wolves have a little bit more wiggle room in the relegation battle. They're away at Man United and away at Arsenal, but they do have that Everton home game where they could pick up some meaningful points. But for me, during the process of thinking about relegation, because I do love this, there's no tanking for better draft picks. You've got to fight and claw and scrap to survive. And we see it with Leeds United because Leeds United has just brought in Sam Allardyce. Big Sam is coming in to hopefully save the day for Leeds United. But it got me thinking what's happening to U.S. men's national team prices. Players, especially on Leeds. There hasn't been a whole lot of U.S. men's national team games since the World Cup. And so what is that happening? What's happening with prices? And I wanted to start with Weston McKennie's 2018 Topps Chrome Champions League Gold Refractor PSA 9. So here's a PSA 9 of a 2018 Topps Chrome, numbered to 50. And this actually sold at Golden Auction December 3rd of 2022. So right in the middle of the World Cup, you have a Weston McKennie PSA 9 Gold Refractor sell for $519.60. Now, remember that number because, I thought it might have dipped a little bit. I was not expecting for that card to sell April 20th for half of that. $250. This PSA 9 gold refractor number to 50, Topps Chrome 2018. Weston McKennie sold for $250 on April 20th. So we've seen, this card cut in half, 50%. It's lost its value here over the past couple months. Part of that is, I think, with Weston McKennie, with Leeds, not playing well, not getting the results for Leeds. We see that, and he's on loan from Juventus. So when I talk about this idea of what's going to happen to Weston McKennie, will he go back to Juventus? Will he get a move somewhere else? Like, what's going to happen to Weston McKennie moving forward? I love this card. Very early card for Weston McKennie. He's in his Schalke kit because he did spend time in the Bundesliga before moving to Juventus. But really, I was really, really surprised at just the amount that this card lost over just a few months, from December to April 20th here. So that was a shock to the system here. Another shock to the system was thinking about the Topps Chrome, not the 2018. This is 2019, 2020. This is the Topps Chrome Bundesliga PSA 9 green refractor, number to 99. So February, this card sold February 25th of 2020. Well, let's back up just a little bit earlier. June, summer of last year. A PSA 9 of the green refractor from 2019-2020 sold for $68. Pretty healthy sale for a PSA 9. February 25th of 2022, it sold for $89. So we have some prices anywhere from $68 to $89. So when I was looking and saying, okay, what are the prices doing now? I was not expecting a 2019-2020 PSA 9 green refractor Weston McKennie Topps Chrome Bundesliga to sell May 1st for $18.19. It really shocked me. I was not expecting that. I have not actively been searching Weston McKennie. I have not been actively searching Brenden Aaronson. Tyler Adams, I've been looking a little bit, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But $18.19. So for under $20, you could pick up an early refractor numbered under 100 for under $20. Shocking to me. Shocking. So it's really piqued my interest, and I did want to share that with you guys to say, okay, is it time? If you are a U.S. men's national team fan, is it time to start to look at these players? Especially with the struggles Leeds has had, there's uncertainty on where these players are going. To me, that was a shock. I was not expecting that. And so it's really piqued my interest, and it's got me, looking for a little bit more Weston McKennie and even Brenden Aaronson. Not the greatest year at Leeds. FC Salzburg, U.S. men's national team. He's had some success at different places. But here, Brenden Aaronson, 22 years old, 32 games in the Premier League this year. He has 1 goal and 3 assists. Maybe makes sense. More goals, more assists. Leeds probably isn't struggling in a relegation battle. But here is his Stadium Club Gold. This is the 2021-2022 Stadium Club Gold. This is a refractor auto. It is a sticker auto. It's out of 50. And I thought this is a raw copy. It's not graded by PSA. And so I looked September 4th of 2022. So in the build-up to the World Cup, there was a best offer accepted on one of these for $475. $475. If you fast forward just a little bit over 6 weeks later in October of 2022, this card sold for $121.50. So pretty big depreciation. That $475, that is a high price for me personally. That to me is pretty, as a best offer, it's pretty fair to say, that it's high. It's kind of an outlier to me, but even the $121.50 was a pretty big sale. And then you look at just, the continuing of kind of the falling prices of Brenden Aaronson Stadium Club Gold Refractor Autos. November 27th, a card sold for $91. And then here, February 17th, you had another Stadium Club Gold Refractor out of 50. Raw copy sell for $83. So again, it's got me thinking, if you are a U.S. men's national team fan, maybe you just want stuff in the U.S. men's national team kit. That's great, and that's awesome. But if you are a fan of these players, to me, you're looking at players that have opportunities to play for the national team moving forward. And a big thing, I know, people probably don't want to hear like the World Cup is coming, but we did have a Winter World Cup, and we're moving into this summer. And in 3 years' time, we are going to have a World Cup here on American soil. where players like Brenden Aaronson, who would only be about 25, if I'm doing my math right, 25 years old, Weston McKennie, 27, Tyler Adams, 27. These guys will be in the prime of their career, and these are some of those early cards, very low numbered cards, for $83 to pick up an auto. Yeah, I think that's, now it's in more of a range where I think more collectors, more fans are willing to get in. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. If 83 is still too high for Brenden Aaronson, gold refractor auto out of 50 from Stadium Club. I do love the imagery. I do love Stadium Club. And so, again, I think, Brenden Aaronson, a little bit more of a down year playing for Leeds, not enough goals, not enough assists. But I think, moving forward, and what happens to him? Does he want to move if they jump or they drop into the championship? Or will he be kind of like a Josh Sargent, playing for Norwich City in the championship, scoring a lot of goals, but not getting a whole lot of attention? So that's just to keep an eye on Brenden Aaronson as a whole. The other one is Tyler Adams. Now, he's a little bit of a different scenario just because of the injury. I don't think Leeds would be in this position or in this dire of a position if he's playing every week. He hasn't played since March 11th. He's got an injury. He's done for the year. 24 games, though, this year for Leeds. Tyler Adams had 0 goals and 0 assists. I get that he's not an attacking midfielder. I get that he's not a winger or a striker. But to have no goals and no assists as a defensive midfielder, kind of holding that back line, I think the loss of Tyler Adams at Leeds is a lot bigger than people have talked about. Now, I did look at his 2020-2021 Topps Museum. This is the gold framed auto. Love the gold frame autos. These are out of 50. And if you look at February 20th of 2022, all of these are raw copies. February 20th, 2022, early 2022, raw gold framed auto out of 50 sold for $76.50. You fast forward to July of 2022, there was a $46 sale, but then prices went right back up. January 11th, you saw one go for $89.99, January 11th of 2023. And the fascinating thing for me that was May 1st. So as we hit May and the weather's warming up, and I hope it is everywhere you are, and you're being able to get outside, enjoy the sunny weather. We're emerging from a long winter here in Wisconsin. But this gold framed auto out of 50 sold for $31. $31 on May 1st. Again, another shocking price to me, but it's got my wheels spinning of like, these guys are going to be around the U.S. men's national team for an extremely long period of time. So is this the time where you maybe didn't have an option, or, some of the prices you thought were too high? We're coming down into price points where I think a lot more people may want to look at some of these players. Tyler Adams, again, hasn't played, so that might have an effect. Leeds not playing well might have an effect. But this gold frame auto is really important. And I think that, the pricing of Tyler Adams. Now, he is the one player, full transparency, that I've been looking at. And I've been looking at trying to pick up some of his cards. Now, I like Tyler Adams as a player. I like Tyler Adams as a leader. And so, looking, kind of over the past couple of weeks, probably about a month, I've been looking to, I didn't have an auto of Tyler Adams. And so I wanted to go out and I wanted to get one. So I'm going to show you that today. And if you can see it here, this is the Mosaic. This is from 2021 Mosaic, the Road to the World Cup. But this is the black gold. I'm going to try to put that on the screen. Numbered 8, PSA 9. And so I went out and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have, prices continue to fall. I might be able to win that out of 8, extremely low numbered. It's a pop one. He's in his U.S. men's national team kit, which I absolutely love. And I thought, you know what, the price is just right. I want to put one. I want to have one. So I picked that up. So if you're interested, maybe not Topps Museum collection, maybe it's not the early Bundesliga stuff. His auto's there as well. But do your research. Get out there. If you're big into the U.S. men's national team, go out and find some of those cards, because prices are lower now. It looks like trending, not in every card, but for a lot of these cards, I think you can pick them up cheaper now than they were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So just the kind of a thought. But the relegation battle is huge. I want to know from you guys. I'm not an expert in the sense of I know exactly who's going to fall out of the Premier League. I know we did this before when there was a lot more games to go. Who do you think is going to drop? Who are the 3 teams that you think are going to drop out of the Premier League? We already know 2 of the 3 that are coming back in. Congratulations to Burnley, Vincent Kompany, manager, wow, has done a phenomenal job with Burnley. So looking forward to seeing them in the Premier League next year. Also, I think Sheffield United just finished second officially, and they are going to get promoted. And really the only team that we have left is in that championship playoff, where I think it's third place through sixth place, play that kind of round that tournament. And then ultimately that final game at Wembley, and the most expensive game in world football, as one of those teams move from the championship into the Premier League. So for me, personally, this is just me. Would love to know your comments. I do think Southampton is going to go down. I don't think that with 4 games to go, even with 2 victories, puts them at 30 points, and their goal differential is just not good enough. I do think Southampton's going to drop. I do also think Everton is going to drop, and I think it's going to be a sad day for the Premier League. Top flight football since 1954, but I do think that they're going to drop into the championship after this year. And then, as sad as it, we just talked about Leeds United. I hope that they can get a couple results, but with the schedule, I don't see it happening, and I think Leeds United drops out as well. So my 3, Southampton, Everton, and Leeds United, moving out. You guys can correct me when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, here in just a short month. I'd love to know what you guys think. Who is going out of the Premier League? Because this is a big deal. There's a lot of money on the line, and I love the fact that these guys are going to scratch and claw and fight until the bitter end. But let's move on from relegation, talk a little bit about some records, because there are records falling, broken records. And we got to start with the man. Now the myth, he's turning into a myth and a legend for Man City in the Premier League, and that's Erling Haaland. 30 games, unlike the relegation teams, Man City still has 6 games to go. Do I hope they falter? Do I hope they lose a few of those? Absolutely, because I still have hope that Arsenal is going to win the title this year. What a great win against Chelsea at home yesterday, Tuesday, 3-1. That was a great record and a response to a couple draws and a big loss to Man City. But here is Haaland, 34 goals in 30 games, 7 assists. He's tied the record. Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, 34 goals, 6 games to go. So the question then becomes, can he break the record? One, I think that's a foregone conclusion. If everything goes well, he's going to get one more. But can he get to 40? Can he be the first Premier League player to score 40 goals in a Premier League season? Not only, has he scored 34 goals in the Premier League to date, 7 assists, he's got 3 goals in the FA Cup, and he's still sniffing around the all-time goal scoring record for a Champions League at 17 by Ronaldo. So he's got 12 goals. He's got to play Madrid here in a 2-legged effort. And then just maybe he gets into the final and has an opportunity to score goal after goal after goal in the Champions League. There's still a record out there that's not been broken, or equal, but there's still some talk and chatter that Man City has an opportunity, and a good one at that, to win the treble: FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League. Now, I hope that they can win the Champions League, they can win, the FA Cup. I just would really appreciate an Arsenal Premier League title. That's what I'm hoping for. And everybody who's an Arsenal fan, we've got a lot of hope, and the team is young and it's good and it's great there. But I wanted to look, at a couple Haaland cards. One is not a rookie. One is a rookie. Here is his 2020-2021 Topps Chrome Sapphire. Now, this is a green refractor, numbered to 75. I know some of the rookie cards that we talk about. I've heard it in my DMs. A few people have jumped in and said, those prices are so high. Like, you're talking about cards that are, out of my price range. So I hope I can kind of, put, one Haaland, even though it is going to be a little high. It's low numbered. It is a PSA 10 that we're looking at. But maybe a lower one. And then what are the higher ends, the rookie stuff doing? But here is a sale of a green sapphire, green refractor out of sapphire, $200 that it sold for, $200.06, way back in October. Build up to the World Cup. Again, Haaland wasn't in the World Cup, but $200.06 for that PSA 10 green refractor out of sapphire. Fast forward to 2023 in January. He's having a great season for Man United. Production on the pitch is correlating to prices going up. And so January 5th, that Topps Chrome Sapphire Green PSA 10 sold for $282 on January 5th. And then finally, as we look at the end of April, we see just bump a little bit more, $295 for a Sapphire Green PSA 10. So, you continue to see, I like to see that too. There aren't massive, crazy jumps in pricing, to 1,000. We just see steadily increase as the demand rises. It's a low numbered card, low pop, it's out of 75. And here you have people who are willing to pay more as he continues to produce, as he continues to play well. And now he's putting in consistent seasons. I'll be the first one to admit, though, Haaland, I thought he was going to be good in the Premier League. I did not think he was going to be a 40-goal machine in his first year. And the reason I say that is I don't fault his ability. I believe he's a fantastic and he's an amazing striker. But I was looking at the system that he was coming into, Pep's system, and I was looking at the players around him, and I'm like, yeah, he's going to score goals. But I think Mahrez is going to score goals, and I think KDB is going to score goals, and I think Foden's going to score goals, and I think Grealish is going to score goals. And, the list, could go on and on and on. And so I just thought, with the talent at Man City, that he was going to have productive seasons, but he was going to kind of share the goals with those around him. Now, he's dominated the goal scoring here this year, but I think it's also very interesting watching him play against Arsenal and watching him just absolutely put on a clinic against Arsenal. I was more impressed with his, maybe it's a newfound, maybe I've just missed it, but I was so impressed at how he was able to use his body, use his size, and hold the ball up, almost, this ability to facilitate the ball to other players and then put himself into positions to score goals. Now, I think he should have had a couple more against Arsenal. I just thought he was dominant in that performance. I'm looking forward to seeing, now we're in a semifinals in the Champions League. Can he dominate Real Madrid? FA Cup final, is he going to step up into that final and dominate the back line of Manchester United? I'm kind of looking forward to Haaland versus Harry Maguire. Not going to lie. Would love to know your thoughts on that too. But maybe that's because I'm not a United fan. And I would just love to see what he is going to be able to do against a Manchester United backline at Wembley on a big stage in the FA Cup final. So Haaland there. The other one that I did want to look at is a rookie card. You're dealing in a close to a 4-figure card. And this is the 2019-2020. This is the Topps Chrome Champions League blue refractor of Haaland. So it's out of 150. It's a PSA 9. All these are PSA 9s. One sold June 11th. So last summer, one sold for $905. And then fast forward to October, as he's made the switch to Manchester City. He's playing extremely well for City. One sold PSA 9 of the blue refractor out of 2019-2020 Topps Chrome for $1,190.71. And then we actually see a dip, which is interesting to me. So April 28th, this last week, you saw one sell on my slabs for $1,000, $1K even for that PSA 9 of the blue refractor of 2019 Topps Chrome Champions League. So really, you got these kind of lower, second year cards or, third year cards where you're starting to see small bumps in prices, but you do see some fluctuation in those rookie cards. So I think, if you're interested and you have, the opportunity and the bankroll to go out and get a Haaland, I think you're buying in now at this, he is the real deal and he is going to continue to kind of put up these numbers year in and year out. But you can't go wrong with the production on the pitch. And then the price is also going up as well. So I think, Haaland is great. The other one that I got two more records that we got to talk about. This one is Harry Kane. As an Arsenal fan, he has destroyed Arsenal in games that matter in the North London Derby before, but I just do not understand how a guy like Haaland, I get it. He's exciting. He's young. He's 22. But the body of work that Harry Kane has put in the Premier League and where prices are at, I just don't think they do this. I don't think they balance each other. Now, maybe the biggest argument, I would love to know your thoughts. Jump into this conversation. Is it because he has not won anything? Is that the only reason that prices are low? Because even this year, 34 games, he's got 4 games to go. He's got 25 goals and 3 assists. So there's an outside chance that Harry Kane gets to 30 goals this Premier League season. And he's only done that one other time, I believe, in the Premier League or in his career. But he has become the all-time Spurs goal leader scorer this year. He's also the all-time England goal scorer. And last week, he very quietly scored his 208th Premier League goal, tying him with, I believe, Wayne Rooney for second on the all-time list. The only person in front of him is Alan Shearer, who I think he's at like 260. So even with 3 more good years of 20-plus goal seasons, which would put him at about 32, he would become the all-time goal scorer in the Premier League. And I just think pricing does not match what he's been able to do. And maybe it is all about winning. Maybe this is really like a come to revelation for me to be like, you got to win stuff. But I just think the individual accolades, really should have his pricing higher than what it is. And here's kind of what I mean by this. So a 2018 Topps Chrome Champions League. This is a blue refractor out of 150. It's a PSA 10. So out of 150, PSA 10 of early Topps Chrome, sold April 5th, 2022. So last year in April for $79. Fast forward just over a year. 2018, 2019, Topps Chrome, Champions League, Harry Kane, blue refractor, PSA 10, $80. So it's gone up $1 in a calendar year, even though he's become the all-time goal scoring leader for Tottenham and also all-time leading goal scorer for England. Just as a head scratcher to me. And so if somebody could help me out and really kind of clarify why that is, but I also think it leads to the opportunity for, if you're getting into soccer, if you're getting into soccer cards, like these are the players that I would look at and say, man, like that's maybe where I should start. We always talk, not defenders, not midfielder, it's the goal scorers. Well, here's a guy who's scoring goals every single year and has done it year in and year out. And still the pricing doesn't even move as he starts to set records in goals and is going to go down in the history books as one of the best strikers in Premier League, if not the best striker in Premier League history. Just kind of looking at his autos too, you do see a little bit of a bump. And so this is all this year pricing. So 2021, 2022, this is Merlin Chrome Harry Kane auto, and it's not numbered. But here, March 3rd, you had an auto sell for $41 raw. Fast forward to April 4th, you had the same card sell for $45. And then most recently, April 26th, end of the month, 2021, 2022, Merlin Chrome Auto, raw, not graded, sold for $51. So we see a small bump there. But to me too, like if you are coming into the hobby and if you have, money, and I get that it's a sticker auto, but love the Merlin product. And here you have Harry Kane, great goal scorer. You can get an auto of Harry Kane. Granted, yeah, it's a little bit later in his career, so it's like, 7th, 8th year. But you have this guy selling for $51. So for $50, you can get an auto of a great striker like Harry Kane. I think that is a price point that might get a lot more people involved. Now, the last person that we got to talk about today is not a Premier League player. Was at the beginning of the year. That's kind of why I'm using him here. But Cristiano Ronaldo is in Saudi Arabia right now, averaging a goal a game, 12 games, 12 goals, 2 assists in his time in the Saudi League. But he's back in the news. Why? Because it seems like he wants out. He wants a transfer. He wants to move on. He wants to do something else. He wants to play elsewhere. But he sets the record for the most international caps by a player at 198. So he's cruising in to those 200 caps for Portugal. Absolutely incredible. And I know the publicity hasn't been all that positive for Ronaldo here in recent months. Now this new story coming out about wanting a move. But we also have to remember he has the most goals all time over all competitions. 834 goals. Now, in my head, I'm trying to do the math and be like, what do players like Mbappe and Haaland have to do, and how many years and averaging how many goals a year for them to create or finish a career with 800 plus goals? Like what he's been able to do is incredible. And I think tracking his pricing has been something, especially on some really low numbered stuff. I think it's really telling as, other historically fantastic players at the ends of their careers, where they kind of become, people start to look at the newest thing, the younger players, and we forget the legacy that they have created in their body of work over their entire careers. And so I do want to look at the 2018 Topps Chrome Red Wave Refractor Ronaldo Auto out of 5. Now, I want to, we're going to cross here a little bit because, we're going to talk a little bit about PSA We're also going to talk a little bit about Beckett. There's a 9.510 that just sold, so I want to do that a little bit. So I picked PSA 9s. Some of them have auto grades, some of them don't. But I wanted to use PSA 9s in relation, because it is so low numbered pop, but I also wanted to use that in relation to a BGS 9.5. So if you don't agree with that with an auto 10, that's fine. But that's kind of what I'm doing here. And we go all the way back to November 17th of 2021. Where were you in November 17th of 2021? Totally different time in the hobby, totally different time in many of our lives. But PWCC's weekly auction sold a Red Wave PSA 9 Auto 10 for $6,250. It's a pretty massive sale in 2021. Now, you got to fast forward all the way to February 20th of 2022, where you see a Red Wave Refractor Auto out of 5, PSA 9, no auto grade, on PWCC's weekly auction sell for $4,320. So really, really big prices on these low-numbered Red Wave autos. And I get, he didn't spend much time. He's not in a Real Madrid kit. He is in his Juventus kit for this card. I understand it is a sticker auto, but it is out of 5. So your first one was $6,250, followed up by a $4,320. And then we move into December 3rd of 2022. Now, the interesting thing to me is that this is the same card, December 3rd, that it sold on Golden's auction. This is the same card that sold for $6,000 in 2021. Now, at the end of 2022, this PSA 9 Auto 10 sold for $2,040. Now, I bring that up in December 3rd, 2022, because we are in the thick of the World Cup. We are in the thick of the World Cup, and we know that Ramos is starting at striker in Portugal instead of Ronaldo. There's a lot of issues with the Man United stuff, and there's his move to Saudi Arabia, all that stuff. That interview he does. There's a lot of stuff going on with Ronaldo, so we see the price point dip quite a bit from $6,000 to $2,000. But the thing that was interesting to me was this week, April 26th, Golden Auction auctioned off a BGS 9.5 Auto 10. It's a true gem, meaning 9.5s in all 4 categories. It sold for $1,920. So we have one of the greatest strikers of all time, and we've seen a very, very short printed Red Wave Auto from 2018-2019 Topps Chrome Champions League. Red Wave Refractor out of 5, continue to depreciate in price. And so for me, again, I ask, is Ronaldo at a point now where you want to get in on some of these cards? Because when I think of, like, as a former history teacher, as a person who absolutely loves history, we're going to look back at Ronaldo, and we're going to look back at the positive, the beautiful, the amazing things he did, the Champions League finals, the Champions League trophies for Real Madrid, his first time at Manchester United. We're going to look at, all of the accomplishments, the goals, the trophies. I don't necessarily think we're going to fixate on Saudi Arabia. I just don't. Looking at some of these major players in history, maybe it's not even outside of the soccer world. Like, the first player that comes to mind is Michael Jordan. When I think Michael Jordan, growing up in Wisconsin in the 90s, like, I think of Michael Jordan on those Bulls teams, those 2 3-peats, right? I don't think of Michael Jordan in a Wizards uniform. Now, do I know he played that? Yes, I do. But I don't think of him in that way. That's why, when all is said and done, I think, Ronaldo, Messi, like, these guys have been a joy to watch for the last 20 years. And we're going to remember all of the good times. And I think, you're seeing kind of this fallout of kind of the negativity around Ronaldo. And who knows, maybe he gets a move. Maybe he does get a great move to a different club, or continues to his career elsewhere out of Saudi Arabia. I don't know. But I just, there's something to be said about, I get that 6,000 is a lot of money. And even at, 2,000, just under 2,000, you might be thinking that's still a lot of money. I get that. But, for some out there, 6,000, way out of my price range. 2,000, maybe I can make something work. Maybe it's not all cash. Maybe somebody's willing, with a card like this to be like, yeah, I'll take cash and trade. Like maybe some people who never would have been able to get into that card in 2021 have an opportunity to get into a card like that today based on price. I would love to know your thoughts on all of this. I think it's so important that we sit back and talk about it. But here's another, a good indication. Again, 2017, this is the iconic Topps Chrome set. This is the purple refractor out of 250. Just beautiful cards. This is a PSA 10 for Ronaldo in his Real Madrid kit, which I think is also iconic. But July 16, 2022, this card sold for $1,680. Fast forward to February 26th, this card sold for $763.71. So we went from 1680 in July of 2022. February 26, 2023, this was a $763.71 card. So I think there's a lot to be said. And we've even kind of seen prices fluctuate from then. March 31st, a PSA 10 of that purple refractor from 2017, $542. And then we did see an increase here over the last month, April 23rd. Just a little less than a month later, $635 for that PSA 10 purple. So, they're out there, and we definitely have seen prices falling for Ronaldo. But I think, in the long term, as somebody who's not, flipping every card that he gets, like as a person who appreciates the game, the beautiful game that soccer is, that, the game itself has brought me into the card community. I think, a lot of these cards, like I look at and say, if I can get my hands on one of those, it's not one I'm turning around in a year or two, that would be something that I would want for me to hold on to long term, because I would love to share that with my son. My son's 4. Be great to sit there and be like, hey, do you know who this is? This is Ronaldo. And let me show you some YouTube clips on him, because he's pretty fantastic. So it's something that I would love to, acquire some of these cards at some point. But I think I'm in the same boat as a lot of people, where at $1,000, $1,600, sorry, no, that's out of my price range. But if you're looking at a $500 or $600 card, well, now maybe it is cash, and I could make a play on one of these cards, or maybe it's a cash and cards and could make a deal at a show somewhere. Like all of these are possibilities now, because it's in more of the financial wheelhouse of more collectors than, kind of pricing people out when they get a little bit too high. Would love to know your thoughts on that as well. But it's been fun. I love talking football. I love talking soccer. I love hearing from you all. So again, I just want to thank you all for all of your Instagram DMs, for you leaving comments in the YouTube section that, each episode. You guys are great. And if you've made it this far, I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much for the support to myself and reaching out to me each and every day. Please continue to do so. I love communicating and talking soccer. I love showing you guys some of the trends that are happening in the soccer card market, hopefully helping you guys to one, realize some of the trends, two, doing your own research and really making educated decisions, because, the soccer card community is all about community. That's the one thing I love about this. And that's one of the reasons I do this show, is to create and foster community, to help people make good decisions, or help people to have an avenue to make or content to have information that they too can make good decisions. Because the last thing that I think anybody wants is somebody to come in, buy a big card or pay a lot for a card, have it depreciate so much, and then say, you know what, I'm done. Because for the soccer card community, it's about the cards. It's about the sport. But for me, it's about all of you. It's about the community itself. So I thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in this week, and we will see you again in a couple weeks. But make it a great day, make it a great week, and we'll see y'all next time. Later.